let it out. This is Dr. Christine Zorad. I did this health promotion is disease prevention presentation last week with an audience. I had some technical difficulties and there was no sound, which I was very disappointed because when you have an audience, there's questions, it's lively interaction, and basically you learn more because the things that people bring up are very good and add to the conversation. So I'm redoing this class tonight, just with me and the slideshow. My apologies, but still there's some great information, and I'm sure that if you would like to make some comments while you're watching, I can get back to you, not during the presentation, simply because with the slideshow it's not possible or I haven't figured it out. So I'm going to start with the slideshow now. Thank you for coming. I'd like to know where you're hanging out from, so you can put that in the messages. I'm going to start the slideshow now so we can get on with the material. Okay. Health promotion equals disease prevention. Why is that so important? It's important because there's a difference in what you focus on. Focusing on promoting your health gives you a much better outcome than only focusing on preventing disease. And we're going to discuss more about that later. So staying healthy this flu season naturally is what we're going to be talking about tonight. The first thing is that fear tends to sell things. I like to look at fear as false evidence appearing real. A nice acronym. What do you hear in the media about the flu? There's one case in one city, and there's urgent messages about go get your flu shots. That's the number one thing that the media says will help you prevent from getting sick, would be going to get your immunization. Unfortunately, the prevention last year, or the flu shot last year, was estimated to be only 18% effective. And a lot of people still got the flu, including those who got the flu shots. I'll tell you a little secret. I haven't had a flu shot. I don't think I've ever had a flu shot. And it's been probably 25 years since I've had what I consider the flu. So how do I do it? Well, we're going to talk about that. Who remembers Y2K? Some of you out there may not remember Y2K if you're not old enough. But in 1999, when we got ready to change to the year 2000, there was a lot of stuff in the media about how everything was going to shut down because computers weren't ready for a 4-digit year. And what happened? Nothing happened. But what did people do? They purchased generators, they purchased food, they got themselves ready. Some made underground facilities so that they would be safe. And when the year 2000 came, basically everything went on as it did before. But what happened? The fear, a lot of people made money. Generators were purchased, the food was purchased. The sellers made a lot of money off of that fear. And that's what our modern media tries to do, is it tries to get us all excited, and then they get to sell us something. I say that it's better to have information. If people will do this over TV, what happens when food runs out? I'm sure this picture was taken during a Black Friday fiasco. Fear, fear sells products, fosters greed, and it also helps to promote that irrational behavior. Conquering fear. How do we go about doing that? Information, research. Discuss with your health team. Talk to your friends. There are a lot of ways to get information today. Not everything that you read, of course, is true and accurate, and that's why it's good to check your sources and be a skeptic. I'm a skeptic. I don't believe in the next great thing that's going to cure everything. I know that health is a combination of actions and lifestyle. Information is power. You can't make informed decisions without all the information. So look at both sides of a situation and make up your own mind. We're capable of doing that, making up our own mind after we've done our own research. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some tips that I have. We're going to go over chiropractic, vitamin D, probiotics, sugar and diet, hand washing, exercise, water, sleep, your thoughts. What if? But here's a big idea, everybody. The big idea in chiropractic is that the body can heal itself. You don't have to think about seeing. You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about digesting your food or having your heart beat or any of those other things that happen automatically. Cuts don't heal faster in college graduates. So what does control this healing, this self-healing ability that we have? We have an inborn intelligence that runs the show. This inborn intelligence chiropractors call innate intelligence, INNATE, as coined by our founding father. And it runs through the entire body by way of the nervous system. David Daniel Palmer was the person who founded chiropractic, and he's the one who coined the term innate for a vitalistic profession. So the purpose of the nervous system in the human body and in health is for what? Well, we live our lives through our nervous system. Everything that we see, hear, feel, touch, taste, experience has to get run through our nerve system, and our nerve system has to interpret. Our brain has to respond. And there's two parts of the nerve system. The brain, which houses a control center, is called the central nervous system, and it has to communicate with every single cell and every organ in the body. The spinal cord and the spinal nerves are called the peripheral nervous system. So you have a central nervous system and a peripheral nervous system. I understand with this slide you might not be able to read what's there, but the idea of this slide is supposed to tell you that the nerves that come out from every level of your spine go to a variety of organ systems. And it's all connected. Everything that happens in one part of the body has an influence in another part of the body. As I said before, everything we experience is processed through the nerve system. If our nerve system is not functioning to an optimal level, our perceptions of the world are distorted, and our ability to respond appropriately is compromised. This not only affects our physical health, but also our emotional and physiological function as well. Christopher Kent said that. Do you realize that the nerve system can be interfered with? Okay, so I'm talking about this innate energy that runs through our bodies. It's there all the time. So what happens? How does it get interfered with? Chiropractors call the nerve interference vertebral subluxation. And I want to help you figure out, or I want to help you understand what that means and how it relates to your health. Here's something that comes from the Harvard School of Public Health. And it talks about how there's abundant evidence to show that clinical disease, including autoimmune disease, infectious disease, and allergic disorders are due to abnormal communication and signaling pathways in the human body. Is it reasonable to assume that if the nerve system controls and regulates everything in the body. If there's disturbance in that system, that would interfere with the signaling pathways. You bet. How does it get interfered with? We can talk about them in terms of tension, toxin, and trauma, or the 3 T's. Tensions have to do with emotional stress. Toxins have to do with chemicals in our environment. And traumas have to do with physical stresses, falls, those types of things. We'll go into these in more detail. Tensions or thoughts. There are a lot of places that we can get tension and trauma, those type of traumas in our life. How about that coworker who's always angry? The stress you may have at home, the mortgage that's due, the bills that are due, the refrigerator that just went out, taking care of aging parents and teenage children at the same time. What happens when you watch the news? What's the first 10 minutes or so? It's not a good idea to watch news before you go to bed, for sure. What if you are afraid to have confrontation? Usually, that means that we have some boundaries that are being crossed and we're too afraid to speak up for ourselves. Does that present tension in our body? Yes, it can. How about if you want to be liked instead of being respected, and you'd make choices so that people will like you? How well does that work out? We can get ourselves in a big pickle that way. So tension and traumas certainly affect our nerve system. Bad attitude is like having a flat tire. You can't get very far until you change it. Isn't that the truth? The good news is that you can't have a negative thought and a positive thought at the same time. We simply can't think 2 thoughts at the same time. If you tend to be a negative thinker, you can change those habits. If you find yourself thinking negatively, you can tell yourself, I didn't mean that, and you can put something positive in its place. Oftentimes, we are our own worst enemy when it comes to talking to ourselves. Sometimes, if I think I'm not being kind to myself, I think, would I talk to a loved one that way? Would I talk to my kids that way? So we need to treat ourselves more kindly, and that will be helpful. All right, let's talk about toxins. Toxins come in a lot of forms. I only put a few down here. Pollution, pesticides, herbicides, GMO, medicine, shots. By shots, I'm talking about immunizations. There's a whole list of chemicals that are in immunizations, and they are considered, some of the stuff in there are toxic. Medicines, we're talking prescription, non-prescription, over-the-counter. Is something over-the-counter mean that it's safe? No, that's not true. Even over-the-counter medicine has suggested dosing, and there are side effects to everything. Some of the toxins I don't have listed here would be household cleaning products, shampoos. It's important to start looking at labels to see where's our food coming from and what's in the cleaning products that we use every day. Our skin absorbs a lot of toxins from our hair care products, from our body soaps, from everywhere. So it's good to try and find some more natural products and to clean up that part of our environment. Some stuff we have control over, some stuff we don't. There are too many people counting calories and not enough people counting chemicals. Speaking of food, GMOs, preservatives, additives, flavor enhancers, and food is highly processed. You certainly can't run a healthy body on processed food. And the sad news is that prescription drugs now kill more people in the U.S. than heroin and cocaine combined. Now, I'm not against medicines. If I have a trauma or I have an accident and I need to go to the hospital, please take me. Our trauma care in the United States is really good. And I will do whatever I need to do to get through whatever trauma that I have. On the other hand, if something is going on in my body, the last thing that I want to hear is that you take a medicine and you ask the doctor, how long will I need to be on this medicine? And the answer is, well, for the rest of your life. Those type of answers don't sit well with me because I know that healing comes in the body from the inside out. I choose to do things to work on my health and healing. The medicines will cover up symptoms, but they're not going to help you be healthy. Trauma is a little bit easier to describe. Accidents, we know about accidents, falls. Did you know that the average child falls around 3,500 times by the time they're 7 years old? Is it possible that some of those falls and injuries would have done some trauma to their spinal column? Absolutely. Repetitive injuries like, carpal tunnel, or truck drivers have repetitive injuries when sitting in their trucks and the vibration of the road. They have a lot of low back problems and disc problems. Abuse, weekend warriors, the people who don't exercise regularly, but when the weekend comes, they move 4 tons of dirt or run a half marathon when they're not in shape. Weekend warriors end up in my office sometimes on Monday morning. So what about this girl? Does she look like she's traumatizing herself? I can tell you the new phenomena today has to do with text neck. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. This is an x-ray of what's considered a normal curve, where it's smooth and regular, the disc spaces are equal. Those little arrows are showing, one arrow is showing a disc space, one arrow is showing the vertebrae. That's a nice looking x-ray. But if you spend a lot of time looking down, as you look around the room, you look anywhere, and you see most people are doing it when they're on their phones or tablets. The average teenager or child spends 4 hours a day staring at iPads, tablets, phones. And they do that even longer on the weekends. This is scary stuff, people. And resting your chin on your chest to look at your phone stretches the spinal cord. It affects your breathing, your heart rate, and your blood pressure. This x-ray is of a neck whose natural curve is now, with the trauma of looking down all the time like that, is going back the other direction. Technology has not been kind to the human frame. We sit too much, our shoulders are rounded, we have forward head posture, and now we have young children that are acquiring reversed cervical curves, which is what this is called, where the curve goes in the wrong direction, just from our lifestyle and our daily habits. We're going to talk about the Spanish flu of 1917, 1918, just for a minute, because it was a time in chiropractic where it wasn't a good time for chiropractors. We were founded in 1895, and we did not at that time have any licensure. Medical doctors were complaining. We were jailed. I say we, I wasn't here then. But chiropractors were put in jail for practicing medicine without a license. We didn't have a license of our own yet. And chiropractors were kind of struggling a little bit in 1917 or so, trying to get the word out about what we actually did and how we could help people. There's some statistics about the Spanish flu, and the reason I put these in here is because a lot of people died, not only just around the world, but in the United States. They didn't keep very good records, but it's estimated 500,000 people, 500,000, that's a lot. Some statistics out of Iowa, because the chiropractic school, Palmer, was in Iowa. Medical doctors treated 93,590 people. 6,116 of them died. Chiropractors treated 4,735. Only 6 of those numbers died. So overall in Iowa, under medical care, 1 in 15 died. Under chiropractic care, 1 in 789. So do you think that this gave chiropractic a boost? Absolutely. People were going to the chiropractic offices in droves, and it made a huge difference to the people who survived this flu. And it was because of the chiropractic success with the Spanish flu, not just in Iowa, but in a lot of other states, that it helped to get chiropractic licensed in the states because they had such great success helping people. So my question is, do you think that if chiropractic helped these people with this flu, do you think that there's any flu that comes along that your body wouldn't be able to handle with the right internal environment? I'm telling you that it certainly can help boost your immune system. All right, let's move on to vitamin D3. There are a lot of studies that show how important vitamin D3 is. Honestly, any vitamin that you're short on is going to be important for your overall health. But D3 is a good one for the immune system. The best source for your vitamin D3 is going to be the sun. And the best way to get your suntan is to have, of course, a tan is good and burn is bad. If you can be patient and only go out for a few minutes now, a few minutes later, and build up a tan, then you're in pretty good shape. You just have to try not to get sunburned. Tanning beds, electronic ballasts are the ones that are recommended to be healthy. Dr. Mercola sells electronic ballasts on his website. And there's less UVA than the sun if you have the right tanning bed. Optimal levels of vitamin D are 50 to 70 nanograms per milliliter. If you don't know what your levels are, I recommend that you go get tested. If your levels are below 50, you can take up to 8,000 IUs every day to get your levels up. But again, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin and it stays in the body. So it's important to get your levels tested every few months or so if you're taking high levels of vitamin D to make sure that you don't go over. It takes a while to build it up. You can supplement, once you have the right level, you can supplement 35 IUs a day per your body weight for every pound of your body weight. Basically, that means if you're a 100-pound person, you can take 3,500 IUs a day to help maintain your vitamin D. I now also take a vitamin K, a K2 and a K3, because that helps you to use your vitamin D effectively. Let's go on to probiotics. What are probiotics? 30 years ago, I knew about probiotics. They're just now becoming a little more mainstream. You see some products being sold on television that you can find at Walgreens or whatever. There's a yogurt that they advertise that if you have 4 of those yogurts a day, it'll help with your digestion. That's a lot of yogurt to have in a day. But probiotics basically are healthy bacteria. If you ever had even 1 dose of antibiotics in your life, chances are you have an imbalance in your healthy bacteria in your colon because your body just does not reestablish it on its own. Some fermented foods are sauerkraut, yogurt, kefir, cheese, kombucha. You can take probiotics in a supplement form. There's a whole list of foods that are really hard to pronounce that you can look up on the internet that will help you to establish your healthy bacteria in your colon. Things like, kombucha and fermented vegetables They say even do a better job than the supplements can to get your colon healthy. 80% of your immune system, after all, is in and around your colon. What does our colon do for us? It protects us from invaders, digests, absorbs, eliminates waste, produces vitamins, and it's our allergy prevention. Have you ever heard of leaky gut syndrome? Well, that's where this comes from. Having imbalances in your colon and having proteins going out of the walls where they're not supposed to. And you have to have good nerve system communication with this part of your immune system to have it function properly as well. Gut microbes determine our vulnerability to disease and stress and direct our potential to thrive emotionally, physically, and intellectually. It's important, folks. Ooh, sugar. So good, but so bad. Sugar definitely helps to create imbalances in the colon, and it certainly feeds the bad bacteria and yeast. Sugar is toxic to the central nervous system. Sugar produces chronic inflammation in the body, and chronic inflammation is responsible for a lot of health problems that people will get, including heart disease, thyroid problems. And sugar in the brain, it lights up more of the brain than the addiction area in the brain. It lights up more of the brain than cocaine and alcohol. So it's very addicting. If you actually try to stop all artificial or added sugar, you kind of go through a withdrawal. It's a good thing to watch. 100 years ago, the average person ate 1 pound of sugar in a year. Now, 100 pounds in a year. And here's a scary statistic that by the time the average child in a developed country turns 8, they've had more sugar in their life than the average person did in their entire life just 100 years ago. And there are hidden sugars. High fructose corn syrup is relatively inexpensive. It seems like it's in everything. There's cane sugar, high fructose corn syrup. Fruit juices are basically sugar water. Agave, bad news. There's fructose they add. Alcohol metabolizes to sugar. High glycemic foods raise your blood sugar faster. There's coconut sugar, maple syrup, honey. And certainly, if you eat too much fruit, if you have imbalances, that can put off or change your colon chemistry as well. There are some foods that have more sugar than a donut. Some of them may surprise you, some of them may not. Luna Bar, Starbucks lattes for sure. There's a Subway sweet onion teriyaki chicken salad or sandwich. Orange juice. Yogurts with added sugar. Vitamin waters, people think those are healthy, so watch out. Odwalla superfood smoothies. 50 grams of sugar in 12 ounces. Woo! If you want to burn out your adrenals, you have to watch what you eat. Added sugars represent 17% of the average U.S. diet. That's a scary statistic. Naked is owned by Pepsi. Odwalla is owned by Coca-Cola. Bolthouse Farms is owned by Campbell's. I'm not necessarily advertising NutriBullet, although I did see in Consumer Reports that for the amount of money you spend and the value you get, NutriBullets are a pretty good deal. But the idea of this slide is to say, you can make stuff at home. Get your own fruits, and you can blend it up yourself. Basically, eat real food. More vegetables. Less processed food. Healthy oils. What are the healthy oils? Avocado, olive, coconut, ghee, which is a purified, clarified type of butter, and buy organic when you can. It'll reduce your toxic load. And it'll give your cells, this eating real food will give your cells actual nutrition. How about hand washing? Only 67% of the population have some form of hand washing habit. Ooh, that says that the other percent don't. 80% of communicable diseases are transferred by touch. By meaning they're on your hands, they're mostly it's because they're on your hands and then you're touching your face or you're putting food into your mouth. There's 2 times when they say it's the best time to wash your hands is after you use the restroom and before you eat your food. Hand washing time, 15 seconds is considered minimum. Every 15 seconds after that, you get 10 times more bacteria. A few little facts, interesting facts, is most of the germs are on the fingertips and under the nails, of course. And usually when we wash our hands, the non-dominant hand gets cleaner than the dominant hand. And the dominant hand is the one that has more of the germs. So please wash your hands, people. And if you're sick, just stay home. Sneeze into your sleeve, not into your hand. You can do fist bump instead of handshakes. Antibacterial soaps are not necessary. In fact, they are so dangerous at producing superbugs that Minnesota banned them. The whole state banned antibacterial soap. Triclosan is the chemical in there that is helping to create superbugs. So think about it. Regular soap is just fine. How much do you exercise? Exercise is great for the body. As far as getting your immune system circulating and your toxins moving, they recommend 30 minutes a day of aerobic. So that would be walking, running, biking, swimming, just stuff that gets you moving. Like I said, it increases your circulation, increases toxin removal through your lymph system. Our lymph system is very passive. It only moves when we move. You can get a lymph drainage massage. That's a good thing to do too. Exercise increases happiness, increases longevity, lowers stress, and it lowers chronic disease risks. Motion is life. Here's a question. Would you rather drink water from a stagnant pool or a running stream? I would pick the stream. I guess depending on what's upstream. But I would not drink from a stagnant pool. Speaking of drinking, let's talk about water and what that'll do for you. The first thing written here is to have 1 ounce of water for every pound of half your body weight. I know that's confusing. I'm sorry. If you weigh 100 pounds, you should have at least 50 ounces of clean, fresh water a day. I'm talking water, just plain water. Not herb teas, not coffees, not juices, not milk, just water. In addition to the other things that you may drink. It helps to maintain healthy body weight too. Helps you to digest your food, absorb nutrients. It's good for your skin. It decreases muscle and joint inflammation. If you work out and you don't hydrate, you hurt a lot more. And water helps to detox your body naturally. We need it. We need water. So the more of that you drink, the better. It's pretty rare to have too much water. It happens under rare circumstances. Most people are dehydrated. So drink up. What about sleep? Adults need 7 to 8 hours. How much sleep are you getting? Why is sleep important? I knew somebody one time that said, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, You don't live as long if you don't sleep. We need sleep because it's repair time for the body. Our bodies make different hormones while we're sleeping than it does when we're awake, and we need all of them. Neurochemicals, enzymes. Sleep is important for memory, learning, our immune systems, our nervous systems, and also sleep is important for our cognitive function. That's one of the reasons that you see that research that says that teenagers are getting up too early and they need to start school later. I'm sure they would love that. But basically, their brains just don't even start working till later in the day. Well, how are we going to get some sleep? How are we going to get some good sleep? There's a few tips, some things that I know. I'm sure there's things that you know that you could type in and we can discuss them at another time. News. We talked about news earlier as far as the tension or mental stress, but certainly it's not good to watch news right before you go to bed. Don't have a TV in your bedroom. Have your bedroom to be dark and cool. And have your sleep be consistent. And what does that mean? That means that if you go to sleep at 10 o'clock Sunday through Thursday, go to sleep at 10 o'clock Friday and Saturday as well. It helps you to create a routine. We have these routines that we do for our children. So let's make routines for ourselves, whether it would be reading a little bit, relaxing, music, soothing music, things that we do to help in our sleep. Don't try to sleep if you're too full or you're too hungry. Avoid caffeine, nicotine, and if you have alcohol right before bed, it might think that it relaxes you, but it actually interferes with sleep. Exercising during the day helps. If you exercise too late at night, that could interfere with falling asleep. How you manage your stress determines how well you sleep. Meditation, chiropractic, massage, things that you would do to manage your stress. How about taking naps? A power nap is a great way to refresh but not to be tired. 20 to 30 minutes allows you to have a rest and get a little bit of sleep, but you're not sleeping long enough to get into that deep REM sleep. So in 30 minutes, you can wake up and you can feel refreshed. If you need to be on your computer, you can download a program you can adjust the time for like sun up or sunset to sunrise to take the blue light out of your screen. And that is supposed to help your hormones so that you don't think that you're supposed to be awake. Taking the blue light out of the screen helps you to relax so that it isn't going to interfere with your sleep. justgetflux.com. What's wrong with this picture? I don't know too many grown-ups that actually smile while they're sleeping, but she's sleeping, right? What's wrong? Never sleep on your stomach. It's really bad for your neck. It's bad for your nervous system. It's bad for your spine, which in turn is bad for your spinal column, your spinal cord. Sleeping on the side, if you have a pillow that's the right height, not too tall, not too short, and then sleeping on your back. Cute little kid. He doesn't have a pillow, but if you're an adult, it's good to have a cervical pillow, which that means it's kind of round, and then a round place for your neck, and then it has a depression area for your head. Sleeping on your side or sleeping on your back is what I recommend. Now we're going to get to this part called think happy. Being thankful, being grateful, practicing self-care. Gratitude is really a very pure energy. Gratitude is one of the things that helps to open up more good things to come into your life. Being grateful for what you have. It's a great thing to practice. Happiness is a decision. I remember when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, and I was trying to figure out if bad things happen or what things life would happen. And I was trying to figure out, why is this happening? Why would things happen? And I remember making a decision that things turn out the way they're supposed to. Think about it. I didn't care. I just knew that I felt better when I made the decision that things turn out the way they're supposed to. So I wanted to feel better, so I made that decision. And you can make a decision to be happy too. I mentioned earlier that you can't have two thoughts at the same time, and so if you're thinking something negative, you can change your mind and put something positive in its place. And the more you do it, the more it will become a habit. Exercise helps you to be happy. Eating healthy helps you to be happy, because you can't be healthy if your cells are starving. Getting adjusted helps you to be happy. There's more hypothalamic tissue in the spinal column than there is in the brain, the type of tissue that produces your neurotransmitters. Setting goals, working towards those goals, setting goals that are achievable and reaching them helps you to feel good about yourself. And finding your purpose in life. Finding our purpose in life may or may not have anything to do with our jobs. So that's something good to think about. And just, yell like that little girl in her camel. You can rewire your brain to be happy by simply recalling 3 things that you're grateful for every day for 21 days. That sounds like a challenge to me. Get a little journal and sit down and think about 3 things that you can be grateful for every day. My challenge is to have you think of things that are different from yesterday. 3 new things that you're grateful for today. And do that tomorrow, and so on. And you'll be surprised at how your life will change. Be happy for no reason, like a child. If you are happy for a reason, you're in trouble, because that reason can be taken from you. Deepak Chopra said that. The more material our society gets, the more unhappy people seem to be, filling their happiness with things instead of thoughts and people and relationships. All right, now we get to the what if. What if you get sick? Well, I don't even like to use the word sick, because if your body is dealing with a virus or something, it's working hard to get rid of it, and it's doing its job. So the body is actually functioning at a higher level if it's getting rid of something. What happens if you eat food that's tainted, food poisoning? You eliminate it. If you have food poisoning, you eliminate it. If your body's functioning properly, you eliminate it, one way or the other. I like to call, if you have dealing with a virus or you're fighting something, I like to call it having a health expression, as opposed to that you're sick. Sick to me implies that there's something wrong with your body, when actually it's working the way it's supposed to. So what if you get sick? The good news is that if you have a virus, you get and you recover from that virus, and you'll never have that virus again. You have forever immunity when your body gets rid of something on its own. If you think you're coming down with something, go get checked by your chiropractor, because if your nerve system is functioning at a higher level, you'll be able to deal with it better. Increase your vitamin D, your C, get some zinc. There's a peroxide protocol that is on Mercola.com, where you put some drops of peroxide in your ear, let it sit for about 10 minutes while it bubbles up. Turn your head and put peroxide in your other ear and do the same thing. And it's supposed to reduce the effects of colds and flus by several days. If you go to Mercola.com and type in peroxide remedy, it'll come up. Essential oils are good for prevention and for healing. Hydrate. We talked about water already. And if you're getting sick, ditch the sugar. It really is not helpful. OTC, it says OTC increased symptoms by 3.5 days. What that means is over-the-counter medicines. If you're taking things to suppress your symptoms, what do you think that does? Well, research shows that it stretches out your symptoms for 3.5 more days longer. Ugh, who wants that? Who wants that? What about fevers? Fevers are definitely beneficial. There's a bit of hysteria about fevers. I know they feel bad, but if you allow the fever to do its thing, it helps to kill the germs and kickstart your immunity. As this little Pac-Man here. If your core temperature raises, your respiration raises, your respiration rate raises, your heartbeat goes up a little bit, and your body is creating an environment that is actually for your help and for your healing. We have a self-regulating mechanism, so unless you're dealing with a meningitis or a vaccine reaction, fevers are not going to get so dangerous that you have to medicate them. But if they do get a little high and you're worried, there are ways that you can reduce fevers naturally. Peppermint oil is a good one. Ice, you can put ice on the back of the neck, put some ice under your armpits, that type of thing. But fevers are definitely beneficial. Kickstart your immune system, helps kill the viruses, and it decreases your appetite so your body doesn't have to deal with food while it's trying to heal you. Now, if you have a little baby that's under 3 months old, anything 100.4 or higher, go see the doctor. A 3-month-old to a child, a baby, 3-month-old and older, 202.2, go get checked out. Adults, you can have 104.5 sustained fever. Well, if you do have 104.5 sustained fever, they recommend you go get checked out. But other than that, fevers are beneficial. You just have to watch them. When my kids were little, we used to do this thing called Feed the Fever, where you get in a hot bath, you drink hot liquids, you dress in a bunch of clothes, and you cover underneath a bunch of blankets to help the body get a little hotter, to kill the germs a little faster. We did that when my kids were young on occasion. It worked great. What's your focus? Let's talk about attraction. If you focus on what you don't want, what do you usually get? Well, more of what you don't want. Focus is important. Are you focusing on what you don't want, or are you focusing on what you do want? There's a whole different energy. There's a lot of different brain chemistry that gets produced when you're focusing on what you want as opposed to focusing on what you don't want. I know we can't go into laws of attraction in very much detail. It could take a whole day, really, to discuss law of attraction. But start focusing on what you want. And if what you want is health, then start making healthy choices. It's about lifestyle. And when your spines are aligned, you can grow and thrive as you're intended to, warding off unnecessary illnesses and discomfort. There's no finish line, people. Health and happiness is a process. You never get to the finish line. Keep moving forward and strive for excellence. Strive to be a better person today than you are tomorrow. Strive to be a better person tomorrow than you are today. I said that backwards. Sorry. Do what you can today to make your tomorrow better. I know without an audience, I can't answer questions or that type of thing. My apologies again. I hope you learned something that you can take and use. And there is no finish line. We can all be healthier 5 years from now than we are today. I have a lot of ideas and ways that you can do that, so you can contact me and I can help you. Trust in your body and have a great night. Thanks. I'm going to stop this screen share, stop sharing, so that I can sign off. Okay. Hi, it's me. I just want you to know that you can trust your body. If you're doing the things to feed your body, feed your mind and your spirit and your body, you can be healthier. And you don't have to worry about getting the flu. And if you do, you'll recover. Thanks and have a great night. And stopping the broadcast.